Moin boys. Now, finally it's here. The team I used in order to beat floor 1 and floor 2 of the SKOLL and HATI demonic beast battle without using FREYR or MELASCULA. Now, if you don't want to watch a full guide, here's also a 3-minute video of me beating floor 2 with this team. Besides that, timestamps for all stages and floors should be in the video description. Now, before we go over the team, here are a few requirements you pretty much all need to have in order to even remotely be able to beat floor 2. First of all, it takes a lot of time and patience to beat floor 2 with this team. For example, the overall tries I did with this team, or pretty much, yeah, this team, it took me over 34 hours, 27 minutes and 49 seconds in total before I beat floor 2 once. And the total run of floor 1 and floor 2 where I beat it was 2 hours, 9 minutes and 33 seconds. So if you don't have a lot of time to spend, don't even try it. Next one is you pretty much need every unit shown here, besides the links. The only link I would say you want or need to have is blue Tarmiel, simply because of the heal, so Ellatte gets full healed. Now it might be also possible without blue Tarmiel if Ellatte has a few regeneration rolls and recovery rolls on her bottom pieces, but I'm not sure if it would be also possible or not. The other one is it might be also possible to replace blue Ellatte with red Ellatte. The main reason is both share the same ultimate, and her ultimate is pretty much the important part on this team, but more to that later. The other thing is Ellatte should be at least 3 out of 6. I beat it with blue Ellatte 3 out of 6. Of course, if you have a higher, it's better. If you have a lower, you might not be able to beat the floor. Also, the main reason we are using blue Ellatte over red Ellatte is because of her buff card. She removes debuffs. Now, the next one should be quite obvious, but all of the units should be having a good amount of gear. And the most important part is pretty much on all units is the defense gear on them, besides Ellatte. My Ellatte is a bit too geared, to be honest. You don't need Ellatte that high. The next important part is where I'm not sure about, is the card set. Now, I use the card set where the 7 deadly sins take 10% less damage, and that's pretty much only here for King, so he takes a lot less damage. In general, that's important in floor 2, phase 2, or else his shield might break from one of the wolves' attack. Now, it might be also possible with, there's another card set where all units take 5% reduced damage. It might be also possible with that, but I'm not sure about that. Now, with that said, if you fulfill all those requirements, you should be able to beat it in a lot of time. Now, let's go over the gear and the units. Now, what's the strategy about this team? If you're unaware, the main star of this team is SR, Hawk and Elizabeth, Red Hawk and Elizabeth. And that is because of her passive. Increases the hero's basic stats by 10% at the start of the other's turn if the hero doesn't take damage. This can stack up pretty much infinitely, which means she can get almost invincible and also deal a lot of damage, or pretty much an infinite amount of damage. Because her stacks doesn't even cap at 99 or something. It can go up in an insane amount of numbers. I've seen her with over 8,000 stacks. Of course, that's way overkill. We only need like 100 or a bit over 100 for this run. So she's pretty much the damage dealer of this team. Her cards doesn't really matter too much her charge card is a bit better than the other card, because the other card is pretty much only damage. Well, at level 3 it can remove buffs, I guess, but it's not that important. The other important part is actually her ultimate, which removes stances, which will come in really handy in floor 2, phase 1 especially, because if we wouldn't have had a stance removal, it might not be even possible to beat floor 1, phase 1. Now, before we go over the gear, the rest of the units are pretty much just here to support Elizabeth taking no damage, especially King. King's passive pretty much reads if he deals damage, some of this damage we get as a shield, and also while the shield lasts we deal 25% more damage, but we also take 100% increased damage, which is super nice. And in general, his cards should deal damage. Power Strike AoE and Sever AoE. And his ultimate is also pretty important. Now you don't need him 3-6, pretty sure, but having more ult levels with him is advantageous. Voice. Because in floor 2, phase 3, the bigger the shield we get from this in the pretty much first turn in floor 2, phase 3 is really important. But it should be also possible with 1-6. The other unit is blue Ellatte. Of course, it might be also possible with red Ellatte, but I'm not sure. And the main reason is because of her removes debuffs of all allies ultimate, and also grant debuff immunity and defense related stat increase, which comes in really handy in floor 2 and in general floor 1, but floor 1 is not that difficult. But the most important part is the debuff immunity and defense related stats. Also with higher ultimate, her defense related stats go up, so higher her ultimate, the better. The other thing is her blue buff card removes debuffs and also gives us solidify buffs which increase resistance. But it's pretty much just important because of the debuff removal. The resistance buff can also be nice, but it's not that important. Other card, if you had her with more attack than me, you could remove ult gauge from the floor 2 phase 1 if you wanted to. If you remove the other wolf stance first with Liz, and you could probably deal damage to the wolf if you had more attack than my Ellatte. My Ellatte had less pre-bad attack because I pretty much messed up, but it should not matter too much. But potentially you can remove the ultimate from one turn. Her passive is useless because it doesn't work. It only works in night battle. And the other unit, which is also super important, is green Valenti. Pretty much also only because of her passive. Decreases all enemies' pierce rate by the value of the hero's resistance at the start of the battle. Now if you don't know, pierce rate is pretty much you deal damage and you have pierce rate pretty much adds more damage. So by removing a lot of pierce rate from the bird, he will deal way less damage. And as far as I know, Valenti pretty much is the best unit to reduce enemies' damage besides Blue Brawler Barn. But Blue Brawler Barn needs a few turns to stack up his passive, and he has pretty much the same passive as Liz, where he only stacks it up when he doesn't take any damage. In general, Blue Brawler Barn is insane because this debuff is not a debuff, but it's also a gray icon just over the enemy, so it works everywhere. But the sad part is we can't stack him up because in floor 2, the first 2 turns we would take too much damage and could not really survive, so we used Valenti. Now, for the gear. Also, in general, Valenti is ultimate and everything doesn't really matter. She is not dealing much damage, except in floor 1. For the gear, obviously Valenti middle pieces full resistance, so we get more pierce rate reduction on the enemies, so they deal way less damage. I'm not sure how much pierce rate the enemy has, so I just went with as much as we can. In general, triple defense, so she takes less damage. Attack doesn't matter too much. Also, I don't have UR pieces, only the middle pieces for her. HP would be nice, but it's not completely needed. Now the important part is, you see this piece. I got, obviously, the rest of the pieces HP, normally resistance, and then attack. And for this piece in particular, I went with regeneration rate and recovery rate. The main reason for that is the wolves reduce regeneration and recovery rate and also lifesteal by a lot, but we want to heal a bit. Now our team has no healer, so regeneration rate and recovery rate is the only way that we get healing. If you're unaware, regeneration rate is pretty much whenever it's our turn and our unit has HP missing, we will heal a percentile of the damage or the health that is missing pretty much. And recovery rate in general increase healing in general from lifesteal, healing cards, and also regeneration and all of that stuff. So I went with a few regeneration rolls and recovery rate rolls. Should not matter too much. There should be at least a bit, and we need regeneration rate. Because if we have zero regeneration rate, recovery rate doesn't matter. So I went with that. Besides that, yes, I have her Holy Relic for a bit more defense. Other cosmetics are pretty much free to play. Besides the outfits, I simply maxed out the outfits because I had so much resources. And in general, Valenti is our tank. Besides that, you also want to have the units in the exact same spot as I do, because of pretty much how the wolf attacks or decides who he attacks. In some cases, he simply attacks the unit from the left first with some cards, so Valenti is placed on the left. Let's go over Ellatte. To be fair, Ellatte doesn't matter too much. If you want, you probably should give her a bit more attack gear or a bit better gear than I did. I pretty much ignored her ult removal card. I didn't rely on it, but yes, you could just give her a bit more. With that said, I gave her pretty much normal defense rolls, triple defense of course, and the recovery rate and the regeneration rate would only matter if you don't have blue Tarmiel. But because we have blue Tarmiel, we don't need that. Now, if you don't have blue Tarmiel link for her, you pretty much, I believe, need even more regeneration rate, because that regeneration rate will not cover her healing. But with blue Tarmiel, you could simply run HP rolls. Defense I maxed out. You don't have to. If you have Tarmiel, because I pretty much only have that high gear for her. I used her before with another team and she needed more defense, but with the Tarmiel setup she doesn't need that much defense. You can pretty much give her relatively normal gear, but still a bit defense would be nice. Next unit, to be fair, I'm a bit ashamed. I didn't really max her out. Yes, I got her Holy Relic. Her Holy Relic pretty much gives her 3 stacks of her passive, in theory, in turn 1, which could be important in floor 2. I'm not sure if you really need to have it, but it helps. In general, she also is on triple defense. Her rolls are pretty nice. Now, her middle worlds could be better. These are actually our rolls for our gear with engraving. I didn't bother giving him her better gear. To be honest, I should have. But the most important part is you should or need to give her resistance. If you're unaware, pretty much we want to take no damage, and the way we do it with her is pretty much if we have a shield up and the shield doesn't break, she took no damage, even if a shield took damage. And also if we hit patience, that is pretty much, patience means we got 0 damage from an attack. It also counts as her taking no damage. In general, how that works is resistance in combination with her defense equals we getting more patience, or in general we take less damage. And because her resistance is really low, without these rolls, we need resistance rolls. Besides that, she gets defense anyway because of her passive. Now her other rolls are also a bit regeneration rate and then normal HP. You don't need, I would actually say you would need a bit regeneration rate. Recovery rate, not really. Her base recovery rate is insanely high. So simply get at least like 40% regeneration rate or even more if you want to. For her outfits, I didn't max anything. To be honest, next time if another boss comes out and she's really overpowered, I probably just max everything out that she has, because she's such a good unit. King, it's advantageous that you pretty much max him out. For my gear, I got normal attack gear and defense gear. Defense is really important, so I max those out with UR. As you can see, I didn't max out HP. It would be better to have more HP, but I didn't bother. And also, for him, it's also really important to have regeneration rate and a bit recovery rate. So even if he takes damage, he gets damage back. Actually, I just noticed it might. I'm actually not sure, but it would be really hard. Maybe it's better to give him full lifesteal, but he would need more than 40% lifesteal. Maybe like 46% lifesteal would be better than regeneration and recovery rate. But I might test it in the future if that would be better. Because one of the main problems is him taking damage and Valenti being higher HP than him, which would result in a few of the Wolf's cards hit Harlequin before Valenti. If you're unaware, some of the cards work the way that they target the unit with the least amount of HP left, percentile HP left, and we pretty much want Valenti at the lowest percentile every time, but that's quite hard sometimes. In my run myself, I also failed, and King had the lowest HP. I still won, but that was because I had a lot of RNG. In general, his cards are all maxed. As I said, he's 3 out of 6. I could give him 4/6, but I didn't bother. And the only important part pretty much is in floor 2, phase 3, the better our ultimate hits, or the more they hit, the better it protects us for the first turn, which can be important. Now, let's start with Tarmiel Link. I did not really bother giving him that much gear. Again, I don't even know why those are not HP rolls. These should be HP rolls. Of course, these should be attack rolls, but I simply didn't bother for ELLATE. So that's that. The other stuff is all maxed. The rest of the units I just use because all of them are maxed. Purgatory Barn 6/6 with his relic with triple defense rolls. Most important part is the defense. I could give him also more HP. Would be better for Valenti, but it worked like this, so it doesn't really matter. Well, okay, he's not maxed in his attack cards, in his weapons, but his weapons doesn't matter anyway, so... If you had a better unit than Tarmiel that has good gear with triple defense, you probably want to give Liz a better unit, but mine is also only 5/6, but I still give her him as a link, and it still worked. Sariel is pretty normal. Maxed out everything, attack, defense, cosmetics, everything maxed. So King simply deals more damage with his crits, because he has Tarmiel's Grace, of course. Now, with that said, one other part might be interesting is the Constellations, because the Constellations give a few stats, in particular regeneration rate, more regeneration rate, and of course a few recovery rate. So those stats don't show in the character selection, they show only in-game. So when we are in-game or in the battle, we got more regeneration rate and stuff. With that said, the last important part is the passive in floor 1, phase 3 the wolf gets. Now, he can get one of 3 of those passives, and pretty much the top passive is the best passive if we want to be able to beat floor 2, because pretty much if we remove ultimate gauge, which we can only do with Ellatte, he gets crit damage increase, but that should not matter too much because our defense related stats are so high he doesn't crit anyway. So it's pretty much just completely nullified, the passive. The other passive that you might be also able to clear for floor 2, but I'm not sure because it's kind of sucks still, is the bottom one, defense related stats decrease. When the wolf crits us, you will also apply a debuff to us, which reduces defense related stats by 30%. That can be pretty difficult to deal with because our crit defense is lowered, our crit resistance is lowered, and our defense is lowered. Of course, with Blue Ellatte we can cleanse it if we use Blue Ellatte, but it still can be pretty difficult to deal with. The main problem is floor 2 phase 1, the first 2 turns, and then on floor 2 phase 3 this might be a real problem, because in floor 2 phase 3 we won't have the debuff immunity up all the time, because one of the wolves will remove it from us. The middle passive, to be honest, if you get that, you probably want to just reset the floor and try your luck again, because this straight up reduces all of your crit resistance and crit defense by 25%, which is super scary because it doesn't require any debuff or him critting. And in floor 2, if the wolf crits, he does an insane amount of damage compared to his normal attack. So it might not even be possible with this passive active. With that said, I'm pretty sure that's all. And we see us in phase 1, floor 1. As I said before, all of these stats and passives and whatever, all of these requirements are pretty much just for floor 2. Floor 1 is easy, hard to beat, and of course, this is not the best team to beat floor 1 in general. There are easier teams, but at least as far as I know, this is the only team that can beat floor 2 without using FREYR or MELASCULA. Let's go. And with that, we finally beat floor 2 without using FREYR or MELASCULA. Of course, this took an insane amount of time, and probably no one will do this even with a guide. In general, if I missed anything, comment down below. Also, it would be really nice if you subscribe to the channel. Also, leave a like on the video, and of course, if you subscribe, ring the bell so you get more notifications in the future when I upload a new video. With that said, boys, I'm tired. This is it. In the end, I will also play a few clips on floor 3, but in general, floor 3 is at least at the moment not possible because simply the Ellatte ultimate seems to be buggy, or the passive from the White Wolf seems to be buggy, and whenever a debuff immunity is present, he will also remove all of the other stats that Ellatte applies, or in general Ellatte applies, the defense related stats, which is a bit weird. I also made a bug report on that, but we'll see if that gets fixed. With that said, boys, thanks for watching, and we see us next time.